I was driving past my son-in-law's house and decided to check on him. But when I saw my husband's car at the gate, that burgundy Mercedes that should have been in our driveway, my heart clenched with a premonition of trouble. Something's wrong, I thought, and I quietly approached the window, trying not to give myself away. What I heard inside destroyed and changed my world forever. When the old fool finally signs the papers, we'll have everything we planned for. Raymond's voice drifted through the half-open window like poison in my veins. I sat frozen in my Cadillac outside Simone's house, keys still dangling from the ignition. 5 minutes ago, I'd called my son to surprise him with dinner plans. Sorry, Mama. I'm not home. But Simone's there working on some case files, he'd said cheerfully. Yet here was Raymond's burgundy Mercedes parked brazenly in the driveway. I killed the engine and approached the window on trembling legs. Through the gap in the curtains, I could see them clearly. My husband of 25 years lounging on my son's couch like he owned the place, and Simone leaning against the bookshelf with that smug expression I'd grown to despise. The timeline's perfect, Simone was saying, her lawyer voice crisp with satisfaction. File in June. Claim irreconcilable differences. With the new Georgia statutes, Raymond's entitled to half of everything acquired during marriage, plus spousal support for life. Raymond laughed, that deep rumble I'd once found comforting. The restaurant business alone is worth $12 million. Add the rental properties, the vacation home in Savannah, investments. We're looking at nearly $20 million total. My hands shook as I fumbled for my phone, hitting record just as Simone continued her legal dissertation. The beautiful part is her trusting nature. Dorothy has no idea we've been documenting her assets for months. Bank statements, property deeds, business valuations, everything's already copied. She gestured toward a manila folder on the coffee table. She practically handed us the keys to her kingdom. 2 years of playing the devoted husband, Raymond said, examining his watch. Pretending to care about her boring restaurant stories, nodding sympathetically when she worried about staffing issues. God, the woman actually believes I love her. A twig snapped under my foot. Both of them froze mid-conversation, heads turning toward the window like startled deer. I pressed myself against the brick wall, heart hammering against my ribs, sweat beading despite the April chill. Did you hear something? Raymond's voice carried a note of suspicion. Probably just the neighbor's cat, Simone replied after a pause. You're paranoid. Can you blame me? If Dorothy discovered this before we're ready, she won't. The woman couldn't spot a conspiracy if it wore a neon sign. Simone's laughter held nothing but contempt. By September, you'll be divorced, wealthy, and free to do whatever you want with whoever you want. I forced myself to stay hidden until their conversation resumed, my phone capturing every venomous word. When I finally crept back to my car 15 minutes later, my entire world had shifted on its axis. 25 years of marriage, reduced to a legal strategy session between my husband and daughter-in-law. The folder on that coffee table haunted me. Months of planning, documentation, preparation. While I'd been working 16-hour days to build our future, they'd been systematically mapping its destruction. I sat in the driver's seat, staring at my hands wrapped around the steering wheel. The same hands that had built a restaurant empire from nothing, that had provided every comfort Raymond enjoyed, that had held him close when his own mother passed away 2 years into our marriage. Raymond's voice echoed in my memory. The woman actually believes I love her. The worst part. Until 30 minutes ago, I absolutely did. The front door opened just as I reached for my car keys. Raymond emerged first, his designer jacket swinging casually, followed by Simone adjusting her silk blouse with practiced precision. Neither expected to find me sitting in my Cadillac, and the shock registered on Raymond's face like a slap. Dorothy. His voice climbed an octave. What are you doing here? I forced my expression into something resembling normalcy, though my pulse thundered in my ears. 25 years of marriage had taught me to read his moods, but apparently he'd been acting the entire time. Just finished checking on the Buckhead location, I lied smoothly, climbing out of the car. Thought I'd stop by and see Marcus. Simone stepped protectively closer to Raymond, her lawyer instincts kicking in. Those dark brown eyes studied my face with uncomfortable intensity, searching for cracks in my story. "He's not here," Raymond said quickly. I was helping Simone organize some legal documents for a client." The lie rolled off his tongue with practiced ease. How many lies had I swallowed over the years without question? "Oh." I kept my voice light, conversational. "I thought you'd be at the gym until 6 today. Didn't you mention something about meeting your trainer this morning?" A flicker of panic crossed his features. "I left early. Wasn't feeling it today." "Sorry to hear that." I turned to Simone with manufactured friendliness. "Working on an interesting case?" "Asset division," she replied without thinking, then caught herself. "For a divorce client. Very complex financial situation." The irony would have been amusing if it weren't destroying my life. Raymond's eyes darted between Simone and me, calculating. "How long have you been here, Dorothy?" "Just pulled up." "Why?" "No reason." But his smile looked painted on. "You seem tense. Everything okay?" The man who'd plotted my financial ruin for months was asking about my well-being. I almost laughed. "Long day, you know how it is." I gestured toward Simone. "Don't let me interrupt your work session." "We were just finishing up," Simone said, her hand settling possessively on Raymond's arm. The gesture seemed automatic, intimate. How long had that been happening? Good timing then. I pulled out my phone to check the time, making sure they could see the device. Neither reacted, but I caught Simone's eyes lingering on the screen. "I should head home anyway. Dinner won't cook itself." Raymond's laugh sounded forced. "I'll be along shortly. Just need to wrap up a few things here." "Take your time." I opened my car door, then paused as if remembering something. "Oh, Raymond, Dr. Patterson's office called about rescheduling your physical. Something about a conflict with your personal training schedule." His face went blank for a split second, the look of someone whose lie had been exposed. Then he recovered with impressive speed. "Must be a mix-up. I'll call them later." "No worries. These things happen." I slid into the driver's seat, heart hammering. "See you both later." As I backed out of the driveway, I watched them in my rearview mirror. They stood frozen until my car disappeared around the corner, then immediately moved closer together, heads bent in urgent conversation. The three-way dance of deception was complete. They suspected I might have overheard something. I knew they were planning to destroy me, and all of us were pretending everything was perfectly normal. Raymond would drive home separately, armed with explanations for his early departure from the gym and his presence at Simone's house. He'd probably arrive at a dozen reasonable justifications by the time he walked through our front door. But he didn't know about the recording on my phone. 43 minutes of crystal-clear audio that would change everything. I pulled into traffic, hands steady on the wheel for the first time in an hour. The shock was wearing off, replaced by something colder and more focused. They thought they were playing chess with a checkers player. They were about to discover their mistake. The 15-minute drive home passed in a blur of traffic lights and muscle memory. My Cadillac found its way into our circular driveway without conscious direction. Past the manicured gardens Raymond insisted we pay someone else to maintain. Past the fountain he'd commissioned for our 20th anniversary. I sat in the car for several minutes, staring at the house I'd purchased with my own money in 1998. Every renovation, every carefully chosen detail had been a love letter to the man who was now plotting to steal it from me. The front door opened into silence that felt different now. Not peaceful, but hollow. Raymond's presence had always filled these rooms with talk about his fitness routine, complaints about the weather, excitement over new gadgets. Now I wondered how much of it had been performance. The wedding photo on the mantel caught my eye first. December 15th, 1987. Me radiant in ivory silk and lace. Raymond awkward in a rented tuxedo. Both of us glowing with what I believed was genuine happiness. I'd been 35, already making waves with my first 2 restaurants in the West End. He was 25, working as a sales associate at Rich's department store downtown. We'd met at a business networking event that year. I'd been invited to speak about entrepreneurship. Raymond had laughed at my joke about dealing with difficult customers, a sound that made my chest tighten with unexpected longing. When I asked him to dinner, he'd said yes so quickly I wondered if he'd been waiting for me to ask. Our first date at Carla's Southern Kitchen stretched until midnight. He listened with genuine interest as I described my dreams of building something lasting, something that would outlive us both. His eyes sparkled when I talked about the restaurants I wanted to create, the community I wanted to serve. "You're not just cooking food," he'd said, reaching across the table to touch my hand. "You're building legacy." I'd proposed 6 months later. The kitchen table held our 25th anniversary card from last December. Raymond's handwriting still bold in black ink. "To my wonderful wife, thank you for making all my dreams come true. Here's to 25 more years of happiness. All my love, Raymond." All his love. The phrase tasted bitter now. I moved to the living room where Marcus's baby pictures lined the built-in shelves I'd had custom-made during my pregnancy. June 8th, 1995, the day our son was born. Me, exhausted but radiant, holding our red-faced miracle like he'd been created for motherhood. Those first years had been the happiest of my life. Raymond threw himself into being a father with the same intensity he'd once brought to planning our wedding. Parent-teacher conferences, basketball games, birthday parties with elaborate themes. He documented every moment with fierce paternal pride. "You're the best mother in the world," he told me the night Marcus graduated high school, tears streaming down his face as we watched our son accept his diploma. "He's going to do incredible things because of the foundation you gave him." The foundation I gave him. Not we. Had the cracks been showing even then? I sank into my leather recliner, the one Raymond always complained was too old for the formal living room, and let the memories wash over me. Our 10th anniversary cruise to the Bahamas. Raymond genuinely delighted by the beaches and nightlife. Marcus's college graduation. All of us crying as he walked across the stage with his psychology degree. Christmas mornings filled with laughter and chaos. Raymond insisting on elaborate decorations that took weeks to install and one day to dismantle. When had gratitude transformed into entitlement? When had "thank you for providing this life" become "we deserve so much more"? The recording on my phone held the answer. Raymond hadn't loved me in years, possibly decades. Every kiss, every anniversary celebration, every "I love you" whispered in the darkness had been calculated manipulation designed to keep me working, earning, building wealth he could eventually claim as his own. 25 years of my life reduced to a legal strategy session. I sat in the growing darkness of our living room, surrounded by the evidence of what I believed was a happy marriage, and felt something cold and analytical settling over the grief. Raymond thought he was playing the long game, positioning himself for maximum financial gain while maintaining plausible deniability. He had no idea his wife possessed the same strategic mind that had built Williams Restaurant Group from nothing. The game was about to change. The living room silence wrapped around me as I forced myself to think like the businesswoman I'd always been. When had Raymond's behavior shifted from genuine partnership to calculated positioning? The answer came with uncomfortable clarity. 2020, when Williams Restaurant Group secured the contract for Hartsfield-Jackson Airport's new concourse. $50 million over 3 years, the largest project in company history. I'd come home that April evening expecting celebration. Maybe champagne, definitely the enthusiastic support that had sustained me through every previous milestone. Instead, Raymond had been sitting at the kitchen table with a luxury car magazine and a calculator. "This means we can finally afford that house in Buckhead," he'd announced without looking up. "The one on Tuxedo Road with the pool and guest house. The Hendersons are asking $4.2 million. Not congratulations on the achievement. Not pride in the work that would employ 300 people for 3 years. Just immediate focus on what my success could buy him. Raymond, I haven't even started the project yet. There's menu planning, permits, supplier negotiations. But the money is guaranteed, right? He'd finally looked at me then, his brown eyes calculating. I mean, once you sign the contract, the airport authority has to pay. The conversation had lasted 2 hours. He'd mapped out expenditures down to the last detail. The new house, luxury cars, European vacations, designer wardrobe updates. Not our expenditures. His. The pronouns had been telling, though I'd been too focused on project logistics to notice. By 2021, the demands had escalated. The country club membership became non-negotiable when the Pattersons joined Peachtree Hills. Our perfectly adequate vacation home in Hilton Head became embarrassing compared to the Johnsons' place in Aspen. Raymond began dropping hints about other husbands whose wives really understood how to treat a man. The physical intimacy disappeared gradually, so slowly I'd attributed it to age and stress. Separate bedrooms became necessary because of my snoring, though Raymond had never complained about snoring in 23 years of marriage. Dinner conversations shifted from discussions of our day to Raymond's detailed accounts of what other families owned, achieved, or displayed. Marcus Mitchell's wife bought him a Porsche for their anniversary, he'd mentioned last month, cutting his steak with surgical precision, just because she appreciated everything he'd sacrificed for their marriage. Sacrificed. As if supporting my career while living in luxury had required significant personal loss. The friendship with Simone had intensified after Marcus's wedding in September 2023. Suddenly, Raymond was fascinated by legal proceedings, asking hypothetical questions about property division and spousal rights for a friend who might need advice. He'd started receiving phone calls that sent him to the other room, claiming they were gym buddy discussions or volunteer committee meetings. How many of those calls had been conspiracy sessions? I pulled out my phone and replayed segments of today's recording. Simone's voice. We've been documenting her assets for months. Raymond's laughter. 2 years of playing the devoted husband. The documentation made sense now. Raymond's sudden interest in my financial reports. His questions about business valuations. His insistence on joint accounts while maintaining his own separate credit cards. He'd been conducting reconnaissance while I'd been building the very empire he planned to steal. But Raymond had made a crucial error in his strategic planning. He'd underestimated the woman who'd built Williams' restaurant group from a single food truck and borrowed kitchen equipment. The same analytical mind that had navigated 35 years of restaurant operations, labor negotiations, and municipal contracts was now focused on a different kind of problem-solving. They thought they were playing chess with someone who didn't know the rules. Raymond had spent months positioning his pieces while assuming I'd never noticed the board. He was about to discover that his wife understood strategy better than he'd ever imagined. I stood up from the recliner and walked to my home office, where files containing 35 years of business records lined built-in shelves. Tax returns, contracts, partnership agreements, property deeds, everything Raymond thought he'd been secretly documenting. But I knew something he didn't. The real assets weren't in those files. I reached for my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found the number I needed. Michael Chen, my accountant, my friend, and the only person who knew about the offshore arrangements I'd established years ago for tax optimization purposes. Time to make a call that would change everything. 3 days of methodical research had transformed my home office into a war room. 2 laptops hummed quietly on the mahogany desk I'd purchased 15 years ago, their screens displaying bank statements, legal databases, and property records. Yellow legal pads covered every surface, filled with columns labeled assets, weaknesses, timeline, and leverage points. I dressed carefully that morning. My best navy suit and the pearl earrings Raymond always said made me look distinguished. Strange how quickly grief could crystallize into strategy when you had 35 years of business experience to draw from. Michael Chen had been more helpful than I dared hope. 3 offshore accounts I'd established years ago for tax optimization. Completely legal, fully documented, but invisible to anyone without forensic accounting skills. Raymond's amateur reconnaissance mission had missed the real treasure. He'd been cataloging the visible kingdom while the crown jewels remained hidden in plain sight. But Raymond had been busy too. His credit card statements told a fascinating story. $47,000 in unauthorized transfers over 8 months, funneled to a joint savings account I'd never opened. The beneficiary name made my jaw clench. Simone Thompson. They'd been positioning themselves as financial partners long before their divorce conspiracy began. Luxury lunches at Peachtree Hills Country Club, $300 spa treatments, designer clothing purchases that coincided suspiciously with his volunteer meetings. Every expense painted a picture of a man preparing for a different life. Simone's vulnerabilities proved even more illuminating. My restaurant industry contacts had been generous with information about Atlanta's most ambitious attorney. The woman who planned to steal my fortune was drowning in debt. $180,000 in student loans, an $8,500 monthly office lease chosen for image over prudence, and a growing reputation for cutting ethical corners when payment schedules got tight. Thompson's a sharp lawyer, Patricia Monroe from First National Bank had told me over coffee. But she's got champagne tastes on a beer budget. Owes 3 of my vendors nearly $25,000 total. Always promises payment next week, then disappears when the bills come due. The State Bar of Georgia's website revealed 2 dismissed ethical complaints in the past year, both involving client fund mismanagement. Dismissed, but documented. In legal circles, even unsuccessful complaints left stains on professional reputations. I leaned back in my leather chair, surveying the intelligence gathered over 72 hours of patient investigation. Raymond and Simone had underestimated their opponent catastrophically. They'd seen a trusting wife who worked long hours and rarely questioned household expenses. They'd failed to recognize the analytical mind that had built Williams Restaurant Group from a single food truck into a $12 million enterprise. The phone rang, jarring me from my strategic reverie. Marcus's name flashed on the screen. "Hey, baby." I kept my voice warm, normal. "How's your day going?" "Mama, I need to ask you something." His tone carried the careful neutrality he used with troubled patients. "Is everything okay between you and Ray lately? There's been this weird tension whenever I'm around both of you." My hand tightened on the phone. How much did he know? How much had Simone told him about their conspiracy? "What makes you ask?" "Little things. Ray seems stressed about money, which is strange since business has been so good. And Simone keeps asking weird questions about your company structure, like how the partnerships work and who controls what assets." He paused. "It feels like they're fishing for information, but I can't figure out why." Fishing for information. My son's psychology training had detected the predatory behavior his wife and stepfather thought they'd hidden. "Probably just curiosity about how the business world works," I said carefully. "Raymond's always been interested in financial security." "Maybe." But Marcus didn't sound convinced. "Mama, if something was wrong, I mean really wrong, you'd tell me, right?" The question hung between us like a loaded weapon. Tell him what? That his stepfather was planning to destroy me financially? That his wife was orchestrating the whole conspiracy? That the family he'd trusted his entire life was built on lies? Of course, baby. But everything's fine. Just the usual business pressures. After we hung up, I sat staring at my research notes. Simone had been pumping my son for information about my business structure. The scope of their intelligence-gathering operation was broader than I'd realized. Time to make sure they got exactly the information I wanted them to have. I was still processing Marcus's warning about Simone's fishing expedition when my secure phone line rang. Michael Chen, my accountant for 12 years, his voice crisp with professional efficiency. "Dorothy, I've got the asset protection documents ready for signature. When you mentioned wanting to update estate planning, I took the liberty of researching optimal structures." A pause. "This is about more than estate planning, isn't it?" "How perceptive of you. 28 years in forensic accounting teaches you to read between the lines. Should I ask what kind of threat we're protecting against?" The domestic variety. Michael's silence spoke volumes. He'd handled 3 divorces for my restaurant managers. He knew the landscape. "I'll have everything ready by noon," he said. "The business assets will be completely insulated from any personal legal action. Whoever's planning to take a run at your personal finances won't even see the real money." By 10 a.m., I was sitting across from Patricia Monroe, president of First National Bank and my sorority sister for 40 years. The mahogany conference room smelled of coffee and leather, familiar territory where I'd negotiated dozens of business loans. "Account security review," I said, sliding documents across the polished table. "I need all joint access points verified and temporarily frozen pending identity confirmation." Patricia's eyebrows rose slightly. "This is comprehensive, Dorothy. Every joint account, credit line, and automatic payment system. Every single one. May I ask?" "You may not." But I smiled when I said it. "How long for the security holds to take effect?" "Immediately upon your signature. All account holders will receive notification that access requires in-person verification with photo ID and secondary documentation." Patricia studied my face. "This is going to inconvenience Raymond significantly." "I'm counting on it." The security holds activated at 11:47 a.m., just as Raymond was sitting down for his weekly lunch at Peachtree Hills Country Club with 3 other construction executives' husbands. My phone buzzed with the first decline transaction at 12:03 p.m. I was reviewing supplier bids when Raymond's panicked call came at 12:50. "Dorothy, something's wrong with our accounts. My card was declined at lunch, and when I called the bank, they said there's a security hold. Do you know anything about this?" Perfect innocence. No mention of the joint account with Simone's name. No acknowledgement of the missing $47,000. No admission that he'd been moving money without my knowledge. Security hold? That sounds serious. Did they say what triggered it? Something about verifying identity and account access. It's embarrassing, Dorothy. I'm sitting here with Marcus's friend Kevin and the other guys, and I can't even pay for my own lunch. The distress in his voice was genuine, not because his conspiracy was threatened, but because his social status had been publicly compromised. After 25 years of marriage, I knew Raymond's priorities. "I'll call Patricia Monroe immediately," I assured him. "We'll get this sorted out." But I didn't call Patricia. Instead, I drove to the Buckhead location where my kitchen manager was training new staff. The familiar sounds of cooking and worker voices felt grounding after 3 days of financial warfare. My phone buzzed with text messages throughout the afternoon. Raymond 1:47 p.m. Still can't access any accounts. This is ridiculous. Raymond 2:23 p.m. Patricia Monroe's secretary says she's in meetings all day. What kind of bank president is too busy for her best customers? Raymond 3:15 p.m. Even our emergency credit line is frozen. How am I supposed to buy groceries? Each message brought grim satisfaction. For 25 years, Raymond had taken financial security for granted while I worked 60-hour weeks to provide it. Now he was experiencing what it felt like when that security vanished without warning. Simone's reaction proved even more interesting. At 4:30 p.m., my private investigator, Lisa Rodriguez, called with an update. "Thompson tried to access her shared account with your husband 3 times this afternoon. When that failed, she attempted to withdraw funds from what appears to be a trust account, probably your son's education fund that she manages as his attorney. That one's frozen too, per your instructions." Her demeanor? Angry phone calls to bank representatives. Threats about legal action. Demands to speak with management. Classic overconfident attorney discovering her leverage has evaporated. By 6 p.m., I was home reviewing the day's financial battlefield from my office. Every shared account frozen. Every joint credit line suspended. Every automatic payment system requiring my personal authorization. Raymond's access to 25 years of accumulated wealth had been reduced to whatever cash he carried in his wallet. The security measures were completely legal. A wife protecting marital assets pending estate planning review. Patricia Monroe would confirm that standard banking protocols had been followed precisely. But Raymond and Simone would understand the message perfectly. The woman they'd planned to financially ambush was no longer playing defense. My phone rang at 6:47 p.m. Raymond's number. But the voice that answered would be desperate now, not manipulative. Time to see how quickly conspirators turned on each other when their plans started crumbling. The after-hours security guard at Thompson & Associates barely looked up as Raymond rushed through the lobby at 7:15 p.m., his footsteps echoing frantically on the marble floor. I knew this because Lisa Rodriguez had positioned herself in the coffee shop across the street with a clear view of the building entrance. The frantic call Raymond had made from our driveway. "Simone, we need to talk immediately. Something's gone terribly wrong," had been loud enough for our next-door neighbor to overhear. Not that Raymond cared about discretion anymore. On the 14th floor, Simone's corner office glowed with emergency session intensity. Through her window, anyone with binoculars could see two figures hunched over a conference table covered with documents, their body language screaming crisis management. "She knows." Raymond's voice carried through the building's older ventilation system to the accounting firm next door, where Lisa's contact maintained an office. "Dorothy knows something, and she's cutting off everything. I couldn't even buy gas for my car." Simone's response was sharp, professional, her litigation voice engaged. "The timing isn't coincidental. 3 days ago, you said she showed up unexpectedly at my house right when we were discussing strategy. She must have overheard something. How much could she have heard? Enough to understand we're not playing around." Papers rustled as Simone reviewed documents. "Raymond, we need to assume she recorded our conversation. Everything we said about assets, timeline, strategy, all of it potentially documented." The silence that followed spoke volumes. Two conspirators realizing their victim had been several moves ahead while they'd congratulated themselves on their cleverness. "What do we do?" Raymond's voice had lost its earlier confidence. "We accelerate everything. No more gradual approach. No more careful positioning. Monday morning, I file for emergency divorce proceedings with immediate spousal support. We claim Dorothy is engaging in financial abuse by restricting your access to marital assets." "Financial abuse?" Raymond's tone sharpened with interest. "That sounds legally compelling." "Exactly." Simone's voice carried satisfaction. "We paint her as a controlling wife who uses money to manipulate and intimidate. The frozen accounts become evidence of her abusive patterns, not defensive strategy." More rustling papers, the sound of a legal mind shifting into full attack mode. "I'll need you to document instances of emotional abuse, financial control, intimidation tactics. Think back over your marriage. Anytime Dorothy made financial decisions without consulting you. Anytime she questioned your spending. Anytime she used money to influence your behavior." That's going to be difficult, Simone. Dorothy's never been controlling about money. If anything, she's been too generous. Then we reframe generosity as manipulation. Her providing for you becomes evidence that she created financial dependency to maintain control. Every gift, every luxury, every comfortable lifestyle choice becomes proof of her systematic isolation strategy. The breathtaking audacity was impressive in its scope. They were planning to weaponize 25 years of my dedication and generosity, twisting every act of love into evidence of abuse. "What about Marcus?" Raymond asked. "He's not going to automatically take my side. His psychology training makes him skeptical of everything." "That's actually perfect." Simone's voice carried the satisfaction of someone who'd found her closing argument. Marcus's hesitation to support you immediately becomes evidence of how thoroughly Dorothy has manipulated family dynamics. We position his psychology training as something Dorothy exploited to turn her own son against his stepfather's emotional needs. "You want to make our son a witness against his mother?" "I want to save your financial future, Raymond. Marcus's professional training means his testimony carries extra weight. If he expresses any concern about family dynamics, We frame it as expert psychological opinion confirming Dorothy's manipulative patterns. The plan was elegant in its comprehensive evil. Turn the son's professional skepticism into evidence against the mother. Reframe every act of love as manipulation. Transform defensive financial protection into proof of abuse. Monday morning, Simone continued, I file for emergency restraining orders preventing further asset movement, immediate spousal support of $15,000 monthly, and temporary exclusive occupancy of the marital home. By Wednesday, we'll have her painted as an abusive wife who needs court supervision to prevent further financial intimidation. And if she fights back, then we escalate. Harassment charges if she contacts you directly. Stalking allegations if she investigates our activities. Emotional abuse claims if she questions any of our accusations. Simone's voice carried cold satisfaction. The beauty of domestic abuse law is that denial becomes evidence of guilt. The harder she fights, the more controlling she appears. Raymond's laughter held no warmth. Poor Dorothy. She has no idea what she's unleashed. 25 years of playing the trusting wife. Time to teach her that nice girls finish last. They spent another hour coordinating their stories, establishing secure communication methods, and preparing for what Simone called total legal warfare. Every conversation, every interaction, every financial transaction would be documented as evidence of my systematic abuse pattern. The conspiracy had evolved from simple asset grab to character assassination campaign designed to destroy not just my finances, but my reputation, my relationship with my son, and my standing in the community I'd helped build for 3 decades. As Raymond finally left the building at 9:30 p.m., his phone was already buzzing with Simone's first strategic text. Remember, you're not an angry husband anymore. You're a terrified victim finally finding courage to escape your abuser. The war had officially begun. Saturday morning found Raymond and Marcus at Carla's Southern Kitchen, the bistro where they'd shared monthly father-son brunches for 5 years. Raymond had chosen their usual corner table. Intimate, private, perfect for confidential conversations. But this time he'd positioned himself as a man seeking his son's professional help rather than paternal support. Marcus, I need to talk to you about your mother. Raymond's voice carried carefully calibrated vulnerability. I think something's wrong with her mentally. Marcus set down his coffee cup with the deliberate precision he used when shifting into therapist mode. What kind of wrong, Ray? Controlling behaviors. Paranoid thinking. She's been restricting my access to our accounts, claiming it's for security reasons. But, Raymond let his voice trail off, allowing his stepson's imagination to fill the blanks. How long has this been going on? Months. Maybe longer. I just attributed it to work stress. But yesterday, she completely froze me out of every account we share. I couldn't even buy lunch. Marcus leaned forward, his psychological training engaged despite personal involvement. Ray, financial control can be a form of domestic abuse. But it can also be legitimate financial management during business transitions or legal concerns. What's Mama's explanation? The question was too direct, too professionally neutral. Raymond had expected emotional support, not clinical analysis. She claims it's routine account security. But Marcus, I've been married to her for 25 years. This isn't routine. This is punishment for something. Punishment for what? Raymond hesitated. How much could he reveal without exposing his own conspiracy? I think she suspects I've been questioning our marriage. Maybe she's trying to intimidate me into staying. Ray. Marcus's voice carried the patience of someone who'd spent years treating manipulative patients. Are you telling me Mama is financially abusing you to prevent divorce? Or are you telling me you're considering divorce and Mama is protecting assets? The distinction cut too close to truth. Raymond shifted tactics. I'm telling you that your mother has been exhibiting concerning behavioral changes. And as a psychologist, I thought you might have insights about what's happening. As a psychologist, I'd say that major behavioral changes usually have identifiable triggers. What happened 3 days ago that might have caused Mama to suddenly restrict account access? Raymond's mind raced. Marcus was too well trained to accept emotional manipulation without evidence. Every question revealed the gaps in his victim narrative. I don't know what triggered it. That's what scares me. But Marcus was studying his stepfather's face with clinical detachment, reading micro-expressions and verbal inconsistencies with professional skill. Ray, are you asking for psychological advice, or are you asking me to take sides in a marital conflict? The blunt question shattered Raymond's manipulation strategy. His stepson wasn't going to provide the emotional support that would validate his victim narrative. I'm asking you to help me understand what's happening to our family. Then I suggest you have an honest conversation with Mama about her concerns, instead of asking me to psychoanalyze her based on your interpretation of her behavior. Raymond left the cafe 20 minutes later, furious at his stepson's professional detachment and worried about the implications. If Marcus refused to automatically support his claims, the victim narrative would collapse under professional scrutiny. Meanwhile, 40 miles away at Williams Restaurant Group headquarters, I was receiving intelligence that would reshape the entire battlefield. Patricia Monroe's call came at 10:15 a.m., just as I was reviewing weekend staff schedules. Dorothy, thought you'd want to know. Simone Thompson's got problems brewing with the State Bar of Georgia. Word is they're investigating her handling of contractor payments on the Mitchell case. What kind of problems? 3 subcontractors filed complaints about non-payment last month. Thompson collected fees from her client but never distributed payments to the trades. Classic trust account violation if they can prove it. I set down my coffee, mind immediately calculating the implications. How serious? Serious enough that the Bar Association scheduled a hearing for next week. Thompson's scrambling to find $23,000 to make the subcontractors whole before the investigation concludes. $23,000, the exact amount Simone owed, according to my research. Patricia, would those subcontractors be willing to discuss their experience with Thompson if someone from the restaurant community reached out? Absolutely. These folks are furious. Thompson promised payment for 6 months, always had excuses, always blamed delays on her client or court procedures. They're small operators who can't afford to absorb those losses. I spent the next 3 hours making strategic phone calls. Bob Martinez from Martinez Electrical, who'd been waiting 8 months for $7,400. Steve Chen from Chen Plumbing, owed $9,200 since last October. Randy Foster from Foster Roofing, still waiting for $6,500 from a job completed in November. Each conversation followed the same pattern. Professional courtesy calls from Williams Restaurant Group checking references before potentially hiring Thompson for legal services. Each contractor eager to share warnings about Simone's payment practices, ethical shortcuts, and professional unreliability. By 1 p.m., I had documented evidence of Simone's systematic pattern of using client trust accounts as personal banking, violating state bar regulations and misleading subcontractors about payment timelines. At 2:30 p.m., I called the State Bar of Georgia's ethical complaint hotline. I'd like to file a formal complaint about attorney misconduct, I told the intake specialist. Simone Thompson has engaged in a pattern of client trust account violations and has made misleading representations to construction industry professionals. The complaint form asked for detailed documentation. I provided contractor names, amounts owed, timeline of misrepresentations, and evidence of Simone's systematic abuse of client funds. 3 additional contractors agreed to serve as witnesses if needed. By 4 p.m., Simone's law office was receiving calls from the Bar Association about expedited investigation procedures and mandatory hearing attendance. Her professional reputation, the foundation of her conspiracy against me, was now under formal ethical review. At 4:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Lisa Rodriguez. Thompson just left her office carrying 3 boxes of files, heading toward her car. Want me to follow? No need, I typed back. I know exactly where she's going. Simone would be driving straight to Raymond, panic overriding her usual caution. The conspiracy that had begun with confidence and careful planning was about to become a desperate scramble for survival. Let them panic. Let them make mistakes. The real war was just beginning. 2 days of professional crisis had given Marcus time to process everything he'd learned. The drive to Williams Restaurant Group headquarters felt like traveling toward a reckoning he'd been avoiding his entire adult life. My office building stood solid against the April sky, brick and steel and honest workmanship. Everything Simone's glass tower pretended to be but wasn't. Jennifer, my assistant for 8 years, greeted Marcus with the warmth reserved for family members who actually showed up to company events and charity dinners. "She's expecting you, honey. Go right in." I stood when he entered, reading his body language with the careful attention I'd learned from watching Raymond's moods for 25 years. But Marcus carried himself differently. Professional posture, clinical distance, the bearing of someone who'd made difficult decisions. "Mama, we need to discuss what's happening between you and Ray." His voice held the careful neutrality he used with troubled patients. "I've spent 2 days analyzing the situation, and I need to understand your perspective. What's Raymond told you? That you're exhibiting controlling behaviors, financial manipulation, possible emotional abuse." He sat across from my desk, hands folded precisely. He wants me to support his victim narrative using my professional credentials. The clinical language was jarring, coming from my son, but I recognized his strategy. Distance himself emotionally to evaluate facts objectively. "And what do you think?" "I think Ray tried to manipulate me the same way he's apparently been manipulating you." Marcus's dark eyes, so much like his father's, studied my face. "Show me the evidence, Mama. I need to hear what you heard." I hesitated. Once I played that recording, there would be no protecting him from the truth about his stepfather and wife. But Marcus was 30 years old, a licensed psychologist, capable of handling reality. I pressed play on my phone. Raymond's voice filled the office. "When the old fool finally signs the papers, we'll have everything we planned for." Marcus's expression didn't change for the first minute. Professional detachment held as he listened to his stepfather mock 25 years of marriage, heard Simone calculate legal strategies for maximum financial damage, absorbed their cold discussion of timeline and asset division. But when Raymond said, 2 years of playing the devoted husband, Marcus's composure cracked slightly. His hands clenched once, then relaxed. The recording ended. Silence stretched between us like a bridge neither wanted to cross first. "How long have you known?" he asked finally. 6 days. I overheard this conversation at Simone's house last Tuesday. "And you've been, what?" "Building a defense strategy while pretending everything was normal." "Something like that." He leaned back in his chair, processing. "Ray asked me to evaluate your mental state. He wanted me to provide professional opinion that you were exhibiting abusive patterns." "What did you tell him?" "That I couldn't ethically assess someone without proper evaluation. That his claims seemed inconsistent with your established behavioral patterns." Marcus's voice carried a note of anger now. "He tried to use my training as a weapon, Mama. Against you and against professional standards." The weight of betrayal, not just mine, but his, settled between us. "I'm sorry you've been dragged into this, baby." "I'm not." His tone sharpened with resolve. "I'm glad I know the truth. The question is, what happens now?" I studied my son's face, seeing strength I'd helped build but independence I couldn't control. "That's your choice, Marcus. I won't ask you to choose sides." "I already have." He stood up, decision made. "I choose truth over family loyalty. I choose evidence over emotion. And I choose to support the parent who didn't try to manipulate my professional ethics." Relief flooded through me, followed immediately by concern. "What about Simone? What about her?" His voice went cold. "My wife participated in a conspiracy to financially destroy my mother while using my psychology practice as cover. That marriage is over. Marcus." "Mama, I'm not making this decision in anger. I'm making it based on character assessment and behavioral evidence. He moved toward the door, then paused. I'll testify honestly about family dynamics if needed, but I won't be anyone's weapon, including yours. I understand. Good. Because there's one more thing I need to do. He left my office with the determined stride of someone who'd found moral clarity in a situation designed to destroy it. 20 minutes later, he'd be walking into his own home to confront the woman who'd betrayed not just me, but the professional ethics he'd spent years building. I sat alone in my office, surrounded by the evidence of 35 years of honest work, and felt something I hadn't experienced since this nightmare began. Hope that truth might actually matter. 3 days later, Raymond discovered that social destruction moved faster than legal proceedings. The Peachtree Hills Country Club's dining room buzzed with Saturday brunch conversation, but clusters of couples fell silent as he approached their tables. Kevin Patterson, his tennis partner for 5 years, became fascinated by his omelette when Raymond stopped to say hello. Susan Morrison claimed an urgent phone call rather than continue their conversation. By the time Raymond reached his usual table, he understood that the conspiracy had become public knowledge. Raymond, dear. Janet Crawford's voice carried false sweetness. We missed you at the golf committee meeting yesterday. What meeting? I wasn't informed. Oh, didn't you get the message? We had to make some organizational changes. You understand. Raymond was beginning to recognize the pattern. Phone calls not returned. Invitations rescinded. Social doors closing with whispered efficiency. Meanwhile, I conducted my own campaign with considerably more success. 35 years of honest dealing had earned me credibility that no legal maneuvering could destroy. My lunch with Patricia Monroe at the bank proved strategically productive. I shared concerns about family difficulties with just enough detail to establish facts without appearing vindictive. Raymond and our daughter-in-law apparently developed concerning plans regarding our assets, I mentioned over coffee. I've had to implement protective measures. Patricia's response was exactly what I'd hoped for. Professional understanding mixed with personal sympathy for a friend dealing with family betrayal. The Atlanta Business League board meeting that evening proved equally valuable. When Jim Morrison asked about Raymond's absence from the recent fundraising dinner, I explained with genuine sadness about marriage difficulties that have come to light. Sometimes you discover people aren't who you thought they were, I said, allowing disappointment to show. 25 years of marriage, and it turns out he was planning. Well, I'm grateful I found out when I did. By Sunday evening, Raymond's social isolation was complete. The country club membership committee scheduled a routine review of his status. The charity board accepted his resignation from positions he'd never submitted. Simone's professional collapse accelerated alongside Raymond's social exile. 3 major clients terminated relationships, citing concerns about judgment and ethical standards. The Miller Industries account, worth $200,000 annually, sent a formal letter expressing loss of confidence in counsel's professional discretion. Raymond's frantic Sunday night call to Simone carried desperation. I could hear through their apartment's thin walls. Everyone knows, Simone. Everyone. I can't show my face anywhere in this town. We'll file emergency motions Monday morning. Force Dorothy into defensive position. Before what? Before you lose your law license? Before I move back to my sister's house in Tennessee. Their mutual recrimination session lasted until midnight. 2 conspirators discovering that shared guilt wasn't the same as shared solutions. Tomorrow would bring their last desperate gambit. I was ready. Monday morning found Raymond in Robert Sterling's downtown office, a divorce attorney whose reputation for scorched earth tactics had earned him both notoriety and high fees. The glass conference room overlooked the courthouse where Raymond hoped to destroy me, but the lawyer's expression suggested limited optimism. Mr. Williams, I've reviewed your materials. Robert's voice carried professional skepticism. Your wife's financial protective measures appear legally sound. Joint account holders have rights to restrict access during marital discord. But it's financial abuse. Raymond's desperation leaked through his victim persona. She's controlling every aspect of my access to money we earned together. Money she earned, according to tax records spanning 25 years. Your income contributions appear minimal. You haven't been employed outside the home since 1993. Raymond's face flushed. Being a homemaker had represented luxury and security. Now it looked like evidence of dependency. What about emotional abuse? Intimidation tactics? What specific incidents can you document? The question hung in the air. Raymond had spent sleepless nights trying to construct believable abuse patterns from 25 years of my genuine consideration and generosity. She's controlling about money. Always has been. Can you provide examples of threats, physical intimidation, isolation from family or friends? Well, no, but Mr. Williams, domestic abuse cases require evidence. Has your wife ever threatened you physically? Prevented you from leaving the house? Monitored your communications? Each question struck holes in Raymond's fabricated narrative. I had never raised my voice in anger, never restricted his activities, never questioned his friendships. 10 blocks away, Simone discovered that Bar Association investigations moved with bureaucratic efficiency when they wanted answers. Monday morning's ethics committee call carried implications beyond contractor payment delays. Ms. Thompson, we've received additional complaints regarding your handling of client trust accounts. Specifically, allegations that you've been using client funds for personal expenses pending case resolution. Simone's hand tightened on the phone. Those allegations are unfounded. I've always maintained proper accounting. We have documentation from Martinez Electrical showing invoices submitted 8 months ago with promises of payment pending client approval. Yet your client settled 6 months ago. Where are those funds currently? The answer was her personal checking account, where contractor payments had been diverted to cover office rent and student loans. What had seemed like resourceful cash flow management now appeared as embezzlement. There may have been administrative delays. Ms. Thompson, we're scheduling a formal hearing for Thursday morning. You'll need complete financial records for all client accounts dating back 18 months. By Wednesday evening, Raymond and Simone had reached the desperation that breeds dangerous decisions. Their emergency strategy session in Simone's nearly empty office felt like generals planning a final assault with no ammunition. We have to file domestic violence claims, Raymond announced with false confidence. It's the only way to force her into defensive position. Raymond, false domestic violence allegations are felony charges if we're caught, given the evidence she probably has. What evidence? I've never said anything in front of cameras or witnesses that would contradict. He stopped, remembering the recording that started this cascade. The recording proves we were planning financial strategy, not documenting her abuse. So we reframe it. Your legal expertise, my victim testimony. Make the narrative about long-term emotional manipulation and financial control. Simone stared at him across the conference table. 6 months ago, he'd been a bored househusband seeking excitement. Now he was proposing perjury in federal court. If this fails, we're both facing criminal charges. If we don't try, I'm facing poverty and you're facing disbarment anyway. Raymond's voice carried the calculation of someone who'd lost everything except the ability to take others down. At least this way we go down fighting. Thursday morning's restraining order hearing would determine whether their Hail Mary succeeded, or whether they'd simply provided me with more conspiracy evidence. Neither realized their opponent had spent the entire week documenting every phone call, every desperate meeting, every lie they'd told to lawyers and friends. Dorothy Williams wasn't just defending herself anymore. She was building a prosecution case. The Fulton County Courthouse felt different on May 1st, as if 35 years of honest reputation had crystallized into something tangible I could carry into battle. Judge Patricia Hendricks presided over domestic relations court with no-nonsense efficiency, having seen every form of family deception imaginable. Raymond sat at the plaintiff's table with Robert Sterling, wearing the carefully chosen outfit of a battered spouse. Conservative suit, minimal jewelry, nervous demeanor that might have been genuine given the stakes. "Mr. Williams," Judge Hendricks began, reviewing the emergency restraining order petition. "You allege your wife has engaged in financial abuse and intimidation. Can you describe specific incidents that led you to fear for your safety?" Raymond's voice trembled with practiced vulnerability. "Your Honor, for months my wife has been restricting my access to our accounts, monitoring my spending, making threats about what would happen if I tried to leave." "What kind of threats, Mr. Williams?" "Financial threats. That I'd be left with nothing. That she'd use her business connections to destroy my reputation." Raymond paused for effect. "Last week, she completely cut off my access to money, even for basic necessities. I watched my husband of 25 years perjure himself with increasing confidence. Each lie built upon the previous one, creating fictional abuse from a woman who'd spent decades providing every comfort he demanded." Judge Hendricks turned to my attorney, Victoria Hayes. "Does the defendant wish to respond?" Victoria stood with calm authority earned through 30 years practicing law without suborning perjury. "Your Honor, we have evidence that Mr. Williams's claims are not only false but part of a deliberate conspiracy to defraud the defendant of marital assets." "That's a serious allegation, Counselor." "We have audio recording of Mr. Williams and his co-conspirator, Simone Thompson, planning this exact scenario 6 weeks ago." Raymond's face went white. Robert Sterling whispered frantically in his client's ear, "But damage control was impossible when your entire case was built on lies." "I'd like to present Exhibit A," Victoria continued, connecting her phone to the courtroom's audio system. Raymond's voice filled the chamber. "When the old fool finally signs the papers, we'll have everything we planned for." For 43 minutes, Judge Hendricks listened to the complete conspiracy unfold. Raymond's mockery of our marriage. Simone's legal strategies for asset seizure. Their calculated plan to manipulate Marcus's psychology credentials. "The woman actually believes I love her," Raymond's recorded voice declared with casual cruelty. "I watched my husband's fabricated victim narrative crumble in real time." His coached testimony about fearing for his safety became absurd when contrasted with his recorded laughter about manipulating the old fool. Judge Hendricks stopped the recording. "Mr. Williams, do you have any response to this evidence?" Raymond's mouth opened and closed silently. Robert Sterling's face had gone pale as he realized his client had used him to file fraudulent court documents. "Your Honor," Robert said carefully, "I request permission to withdraw from this case. I was not informed of these circumstances when I agreed to representation." Motion granted. Judge Hendricks fixed Raymond with the stare she reserved for perjurers. "Mr. Williams, I'm dismissing your restraining order petition with prejudice. Furthermore, I'm referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for investigation of possible perjury charges." The gavel fell with finality that echoed through the courtroom. 2 weeks later, the divorce settlement reflected Raymond's spectacular miscalculation. His documented deception eliminated any claim to spousal support, and the prenuptial agreement he'd forgotten, signed eagerly in 1987, limited him to minimal asset division. Simone's law license suspension became permanent revocation when the Bar Association discovered $127,000 in missing client funds. Last I heard, she'd moved to Tennessee and was working as a paralegal. Marcus filed for divorce the day after the hearing, citing irreconcilable differences. He's building a new practice focused on family therapy, with particular expertise in recognizing manipulation patterns. 6 months later, Raymond works retail at the same mall where he once spent my money on luxury items. The irony isn't lost on either of us. I rebuilt Williams Restaurant Group's reputation stronger than before. The community's support during my family difficulties translated into new contracts and deeper business relationships. The house feels different now. Quieter, but honest. No more performed conversations or calculated affection. Just the sound of rain on windows I paid for with my own money, in a home that's finally mine again. Raymond had been right about one thing. I really had believed he loved me. Now I know the difference between love and performance.